But I asked him in 1982, he says he first saw radionics. Now most of you probably said, well, what in the world is radionics? You didn't know. There's this great article. If you haven't had a chance to read it, get it. It's a great article written about the AOScan NLS full body analyzer. But the beauty with this is it gives you the background that you need in order to communicate how the system works, why it works the way it does, and how people can actually feel a difference using the technology. So it's very important when you're trying to educate people. But Lauren, back in 1982, first saw this and he fell in love with it. And it's been a love affair ever since. I picture him like a mad scientist thinking up of something new. If you're all afraid of upgrades, well, just get used to it. It's the way of life around here. And we're happy for that, actually, because one thing that you never want to see is when you get a piece of software or something, you never want it done and over with. Why is that? Because diseases change, technology changes. We're always able to increase it. So these are good things, not bad things. So we look forward to that. In 2007, he was introduced to what you probably refer to right now as the 9D system. So this system is a total rethink of the whole scanning process. And I have to admit, even myself, I was skeptical. I fell in love with the 9D. I've been involved in this technology for over 19 years in developing this type of technology. When he showed it to me and his vision for the future, all I could say is, excuse me, I'm game. Bring me on, sign me up, and let me work with you. So I think we all appreciate the wonderful, great things that we've gotten so far out of it, what we've learned. So tonight we're going to focus on giving you a sneak peek on some of the other enhancements we've done with it. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our fearless leader, Lauren Swenson. Oh yeah, do this.
We're going to share a mic for a few minutes. Yeah. Jared is awesome. He's been with the company a little over a year now, and he has just done remarkable things for helping us get this technology to you and to the others in a way that is user-friendly and intuitive. Tonight, most of you that are here and some of you that are online with us tonight have not seen this before, and some of you have. What you're going to see tonight is the latest version of the new AOS NLS scanner. Tonight you're going to see, go ahead Jared if you want to open that up. It's a little bit newer and fresher look for the software. Of course that's not what's important. What's important is how the system works. Now you need to understand this is still in beta. So there will still be updates, and those updates will be coming on about a 2-week basis. Every 2 to 3 weeks there will be a new update sent to you, or you'll be able to log on and download the new update. The changes that you're going to see tonight from what we had just a few weeks ago are pretty remarkable in the sense that you can do more, you can test more, and you can look deeper into a situation. If you'll take a look at the screen right now, you'll see that everything is got an icon on the button, so you'll get to know the icons real easy. And it is going into all the languages. Jared, if you'll select on the select language button, these are the languages that will be available to you over the next few weeks. Chinese is the next one that goes live. That will go live in June. And then Spanish will follow that a couple weeks later. So once you've got your language selected, you just go back. When you go into select client, we tried to make this a lot easier to do. Go down and add a new client by just clicking on the add button. On the previous version, if you did not get your cursor right at the far left of the input box, it wouldn't allow you to do the scan. That has been corrected. So now, as long as you can type it in, doesn't matter if you've got a space in the front, the software will correct that issue. What is important is that everything on this page get filled out. We need the gender. We need the birth date. Today we did a scan on someone who does not have an email account. The email account is critical for us to develop the unique code for your individual. So right then and there, that individual set up an email account. Okay, so every field has to be filled in. The birthplace, we want to know the city and the state. Real simple. Height and weight. This is really a new thing too, in the sense that it doesn't matter if it's in inches or the metric. So if you're working this with someone that's familiar with metric and they only know their kilograms and their millimeters, you can put that in as well. So it would be like, that would be probably close to a 1.3 meter person. So, and the weight, again, it can either be in pounds or it can be in kilograms. So in that case, maybe a 90 kg. Hair color and eye color are important, but we want to know the hair color. I used to say when you were born, but none of us are born with much hair. So as you're growing up, your natural hair color is what we're interested in knowing. Were you blonde? Were you brown? Were you a black hair color? We want that hair color, not the hair color we have today. Okay, 1 second, and then your eye color. Does that make sense? Okay, we had a question, Lucinda.
Well, what if somebody is sort of blonde half their life and then it changes on its own?
I need to know when they were young. That's all we need to know. And it's obviously our hair color changes as we get older, and the quantity of our hair changes, unfortunately. Okay, so adding a client is really important, that every field is filled out and filled out accurately. That is critical. So go through that once, maybe even twice, maybe even a third time. Is everything correct? The name is spelled correct, your birthplace, your date, all of that information is correct. Once that's entered, that goes into our system and creates a very unique 32-bit code for your individual. So it wouldn't matter if you went to another practitioner with your information, it would operate exactly the same based on your makeup. So that's why it's so important that this is done. You'll like this next feature. Once you've entered in the information, hit save. You can see it and then you can hit back. You'll notice that there is no information on the screen. So we don't have a HIP issue because there's no name on this screen. And Jared, if you'd go back to select client one more time. The only time that that is going to show is right here. And so if you've got a client with you looking at this screen, I would turn the screen slightly to the side or get one of those protectors on your screen so that they don't see the other clients. That screen will also come up if you're going to select a client that you've already entered. So it's important that you try to keep that private. Not try, just keep it private, okay? All right, you can go out of that, back, and now we're there. Select technician. We've made this simpler as well. Go up to Charles Smith, you got him clicked, and hit delete technician. We can get rid of him that simple. To add a new one, go up to the top and type in the new name. So let's type in Whit Roberts. Okay. Now you hit add technician and you'll notice it puts his name up at the top in green and adds him to the list. Now hit back. You won't see that anymore either until you go to print the report. Okay, let's go back to that and select another technician. Let's go back to John Doe. And then back, see it automatically puts John Doe up at the top. So it just makes it a lot simpler. It was a little bit more cumbersome on the last version. Okay, administration. Okay, obviously you're not called the Acme Company. This is important because on your report, that's going to be on all the reports you print. So put in the name of your company, your contact person, a phone number, an email address. Now when it comes down to address, I would probably just put the city and state. I wouldn't put in address 1, I'd just put in that one there. And then down where your logo is, if you click in that box, it'll take you to where logos are. So if you have a logo for your company, select that logo and it'll automatically put it into the report for you and it will size it to fit your report. So real simple, and cancel out. All right, once that's done, it's done. I tell people the hardest part of this new system is entering in the client. That is the most difficult part because the rest of what you're going to see is simple. Dead simple. Okay, let's click on Vital Scan real quick. All you have to do here now is click scan, and it will do the scan. I'm not going to do the scan for you right now because it takes 3 minutes. Most of you have seen that, and those of you who haven't, that are online, you can call in and we can do an online demonstration for you. Frequency optimization. Now, those of you who are familiar with the old MRBA system, the R Vitals is our answer to that program. We call it the Vitals because we feel it gives us a really quick snapshot of all the vital activity in your body. What you could not do with MRBA before was metatherapy. You couldn't go in and treat it. You could just look. We don't call it metatherapy. We call it frequency optimization because that's really what we're doing here, is we're dealing with frequencies in the body, not chemistry. So we're putting in a frequency. The best way to explain this is if you had 2 tuning forks. And I put one tuning fork in a little stand, so it was just sitting here uninfluenceable. I'm not touching it. I take the other tuning fork and I bang it. As I move that tuning fork closer, as it gets closer to the other tuning fork, what happens to this tuning fork? It starts to resonate the same frequency. Okay? That's what we're essentially doing in the body with a frequency optimization. You've got frequencies that are out of tune. They're not vibrating at the rate they should. So what the frequency optimization is as once you've completed your scan, it finds all those frequencies that are not at their vibrational frequency, they're optimal, and it plays those back into the system. Everything we're doing here is non-invasive. Everything is to encourage the body to take care of the problem. We're not trying to do it. We're not trying to force it. It's just put those tunes in. More often than not, that is all the body needs. Now, sometimes it requires adjustments, or it might require a supplement, or it might require a surgery. You don't know what the situation is, but this helps us along that way. It helps the body start to help itself. Frequency optimization, right after the scan is done, it will immediately go in and do the tuning. Now, those of you who are familiar with the older system, when we were doing metatherapy before, you'd say, well, I can only do it 3 times. Maybe I can squeeze 5. Too many times, we're either not giving enough or we're giving it way too much. And we would tell people, no more than 3 to 5 sessions. We'd have people do 15, 20 sessions. You're putting too much of an overload on the system, and you'll have people get sick. They'll get a toxic overload, or their they'll get a headache. Now you've gone over the limit, and now instead of helping, you're starting to add to the problem. So what we did to take that temptation away of, oh, let's do it another time and see if we get those numbers down. What we want to do, the computer goes in and analyzes you at that moment in time, compared to with the severity of the frequencies that are out of range. It then determines the proper amount of time that is appropriate for that condition for you at that moment in time, and that's all it gives you. And when you click on it, go ahead and, well, we didn't scan it, so don't do it, but when you click on it, it will determine what that is, and then it will put the time up here above the back button, and it will start counting down, and it will tell you it was 30 seconds it needed, or it was 3 minutes or 5 minutes or somewhere in between. And when that's done, it'll immediately repopulate the report and show you before and after, which is really awesome. That's a feature we didn't have before. Yes?
So are you saying that with the frequency optimization that the time frame of waiting is more like minutes? Because I was thinking more, is it like days, weeks, whatever of time?
So the question was, is it minutes or days or time for frequency optimization? It's a really good question, not a real simple one to answer quickly, but I'll do my best. Frequency optimization is mostly just like a little nudge to kind of push you in the direction you need to go. You might see results right after the session, but more often than not, you won't notice it until a few hours later. Let me ask each of you, how many of you had a headache before? How many of you can tell me the precise moment the headache went away? You'll be 10, 15 minutes, I'll say, I don't have my headache anymore. And this is the way the frequency optimization works. Again, we're not forcing anything. We're not putting a chemical inside to force a chemical reaction. We're just allowing the body to take care. So I don't know if that answered your question well, but that's how. Now, Jared went ahead and did a scan so you can see that, and we'll show you how the frequency optimization works. Now, if you'll notice up at the very top left corner in the green, it says page 10, 11, 12. The scan is being done, and as the scan is being done, it is generating your report. So at the end of this scan, which takes approximately 3 minutes, your report is finished. It's done. So your report, you can show the report. It's a large report, and it's a big report. It's almost 20 megs. And so if you've got somebody that's got Google or Yahoo, you can email it. Some of the other carriers will choke you at 10 to 15. So, but you can print it. It is color, or what we recommend is that you email the report. That way they have it that they can go through. Yeah, they don't. That's what I was just saying. But Gmail will allow up to 25 megs, and so does Yahoo.
We have some technicians that you can also put it on a drive and send a link instead on a secure drive.
Almost like a Dropbox?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can use Google Docs as well. Yes?
So when you do the frequency optimization, can you put a remedy in the septic part?
Absolutely. Good question. The question was, when you go to do frequency optimization, can you put a remedy like a sugar pellet or a tincture water or a ring or a necklace? Can you put that into the Cephi and imprint that with that remedy or that frequency optimization as well? And the answer is absolutely. And you're being a really bad technician if you don't. What a great way to send them home with something. Take their wedding ring if that's all you've got. Put it inside and imprint that when they put it on. They're wearing that. Okay, so there's your report. It populates there. Now we do the frequency optimization. And there's several different configurations of the frequency optimization. And the computer program will determine what is the best one for your client at that moment in time. If you'll notice, it came up and said 300 seconds. So it needed almost 5 minutes to do this therapy. But when it's done, now if you look at the report, you look at the port, all of the scan was over on your left side. If you look over to the right, it says previous scan. So when this frequency optimization is finished, it will repopulate a new report, moving all of this information to the right, and your new information comes up on the left so that you can see side by side, which is really helpful when you're working with your clients. Now, a few things that will change on this in the next version. If you'll notice where you have the green minus and the red plus, Jared, can you take me to where we see the legend? Go down a little bit more. There we go. See? Okay, you have 2 legends here, but they can be read 4 different ways, and that's one of the things that we're going to start teaching you in these trainings is how to read the legend for each category. But when you have a bacteria, you either have it or you don't. And so you'll see a minus, which is green, which means you're clear, or a red positive, which means it looks like you have this, this bacteria, in this case, this bacteria. And it will give you the number of 1 to 9. 5 is the number we're looking for. 5 is the balance. So we're either we're out of balance high or we're out of balance low. And so in the future versions, there will be no numbers in this category except where there is a red plus. Because the numbers are confusing, because they don't mean anything at this point. So the only time you'll see a number. Now, if you do not see, like down in basic physical, you don't see any red or green, that's because it hasn't have anything to do with yes or no. We need to know how you're at. And again, we're looking for, we want to get into the green. Now, if your client has fasted for 6 to 8 hours, but drank a lot of water, we want them well hydrated, but with no food, and it's been at least 6 to 8 hours, then anything outside of a 5 is out of range. If they haven't come fasting, or you don't suspect they're well hydrated, then 4, 5, and 6 are considered normal. Okay, so 4 it would be normal low, 6 would be normal high, and 5. Because as you've eaten or you're not well hydrated, it's going to affect your body. Yes, question.
So you're saying that the best way in this scenario to be tested is fasting and hydrated?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay? But that's not always going to be convenient for your people in your office, especially if you're doing an afternoon scan. Okay? All right, so that's how you'd look at this scan. Sometimes you're going to look at something that says you've got 9 on copper. Does that mean you've got too much copper? Maybe. But it might mean that your body's crying for copper. And so you have to look at your whole report. Again, these will be parts of the training that we do to help you understand how to determine whether 9 means it's high or it means you're really low. Does that make sense? So looking at your report, never just jump to a conclusion because you see a 9 somewhere. You have to look at this report in its entirety.
But
Okay.
you saw in a category a lot of things all out, you might want to go, that might be a category to work on, is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Not necessarily the numbers, but take it like if only 1 mineral is out, maybe that's not necessarily an issue, but if you had a lot of minerals out or heavy metals, you'd go,
Okay, let me repeat this because we have people online. So the question or the statement was, if you see just 1 or 2 things out of range in a category, it might not be a big issue. Or if you see a lot of things out in a category, that's maybe somewhere you need to focus. The answer to that is obviously yes. But we didn't scan anybody, so this wouldn't be a good report to look at. Question?
In the big picture, eventually in the software, is it possible, let's say, like you said, where you've got to look at everything, is there a way that it'll be maybe possible in notes that in, say, diagnoses with looking at the full picture of saying, well, because of the fact that there's high metals here and this indicator here, this could be that? Is that possible in the future?
All of this is possible. Let me repeat that for the online people. The question was, is in future versions of the software, is there going to be the ability to have notes, to where you can put in notes, to where you can do things? Is that what you're saying?
Well, actually, because of what the work that the machine's doing and because it learns, let's say, has the ability to learn, and that you could program the software to have an ability of,
Okay, where the software could make the notes and make the determinations.
Yes.
The answer is yes, but not any time in the near future. It might be next year sometime. Okay, because there's so many things on our wish list. Now, Dr. Brian, I'm sorry. Dr. Brian's been using the system. We've got a few other people that have been using the system. Janine's been using the system. Jared, myself. We got some other people testing. You guys are going to be doing the same. You're taking your units home with you today or in the morning. The beauty of this is we're going to learn from you. You're going to come back and say, oh, it'd be really nice if you could do this. Oh, it'd be really nice if the software could do this. You're in this beta version because we need your input. Okay, so feel free to give us suggestions. Don't take it personally if we can't do it. It's not right on the top of the list. Okay, so you've seen that, how we moved everything over to the right. You can see if things got better or worse or stayed the same. And so the one thing about this report is that it is what it is. There's no influencing of the report in any way, shape, or form. Dr. Lafferty.
Areas, maybe 2 or 3, and it repopulates the report to the right. Is that the original test, or is that just the last?
Okay, question is what's on the right the original scan or just the one you just did? It is the previous scan, the one you just did. But every scan you've done is in the client's folder. So you can go back and look at every single report that you want to see. But for convenience of monitoring the progression of a client, it's just the one you just did, like it may have been done yesterday. Or let's say that you're doing a therapy. Let's say that you do magnetic therapy or Reiki therapy or some type of a therapy, and you want to see if your therapy is beneficial for your client. You could do this scan, then you could go do your therapy, give it 60 minutes, and then do this scan again. And then that's a way to say, yep, this is helping the client, or no, it's not making any difference. That's a wonderful tool to have. to be able to see and chart your progress. Okay, let's move on. You see, okay, Janine.
Well, just, it's showing the scan you came from that you just did the therapy on during post-frequency optimization. And I would just say from experience that I wouldn't talk about the report until you've done the frequency optimization because so many things change. Then you may have gone through, why do I have that?
Okay, it's a great,
And then you do it again and it's like, oh, it's non-issue. And you just spent 10 minutes talking about something that's now a non-issue. So
great question. Let me repeat that. The question was, when you've done a scan on somebody, don't even go through the report with them at that moment. Immediately do your frequency optimization and then go through the report, because sometimes you'll get a false negative or a false positive that will disappear after the next session. So this is really important. Don't waste a lot of time on going through the report the first time. In fact, I think what you're alluding to is don't waste any time at all. Just immediately do your frequency optimization. Okay, let's go on to the next. Comprehensive. For those of you familiar with the old system, that's the old 9D. Over here we've color-coded your categories, which we didn't have on the last version, so it's a little simpler to see where one category starts and ends. There is nothing special about the color other than it's a little easier to see where you are. You'll notice here we've added database, and we're going to show that to you in just a sec. So let's go ahead and scan the heart. Now, on the old system, you would see an image of your whatever you're going to scan, and then it would populate it with a bunch of symbols. And those symbols would have a number in it from a 1 to a 6. You'll notice here, we don't put the dots on the picture. We actually tell you what each dot would have been, or what each dot is. So it's not maybe as visually pretty and exciting to see all the dots, especially when you start doing the therapy and you see those change. But what is important in our opinion is you know what was out of range. Instead of, oh, okay, that was a 6. Well, what was it? I have no clue. Well, see, now you do know. So instead of looking like an idiot, you actually look like you know what you're doing. So you can go through here. Now we're looking now on this one, unlike the vital scan, fasting or not, anything outside of a 5 is out of range. So a 4 is out of range, a 6 is out of range. Now it's only mildly out, but it's out. It's not in that normal range. So you'd want to look at this. Now obviously the ones you want to pay the most attention to is 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. Okay? And Jared and his staff will be doing some videos for you to see in the future that help you understand and how to navigate through some of these scans. Okay, so here this is done. Before you do your frequency optimization, you want to go to database. Now when you go to database, it tells you everything that you've done in your history. Now this has only had the heart done. But if you had done lots of scans, it would tell you everything you've scanned and give you the date of those scans. So over here in database name, it says, well, you got to click on a database to give me something to analyze it against. Now right now in this, we only have 5 database categories in. We have 7 more that will be going in, maybe 10 before the next version comes out. That will continue to get bigger and bigger as we can validate the databases. Okay, so if he clicks on pathomorphology, and then he goes up and clicks analyze, it will go through and now analyze the heart and all those things that were out of range in the heart against pathomorphologies, diseases, illnesses. And it takes 30 seconds. Each database will take 30 seconds to go through. So in this case, it would take 2.5 minutes if you wanted to go each one of those databases. Now what's nice is when it comes up, and we may not see anything because we didn't scan an individual, it will always put something in that field. And see, it gave us a 4, but it didn't give us anything else. Now 4 would mean it's slightly out of range low, and you say, what? Well, I don't know yet. It goes deeper, like an onion. But if that was an actual issue, it would put under nidus, it would either tell you cause, future, or symptom. And if it's a cause, it would be in red. And it would give you, it would say cause, and it would tell you, over in time how long it's been there, 1 to 5 years. Okay? And it would give you a value. This is really serious or it's mildly serious, but it is the real cause. If it's not the cause or the root issue, it'll say symptom. And so it's a symptom. So you need to know, okay, we got to look further because this is a symptom of what's really out of range. And so, like he's done organ condition. You can go through these. Once you start finding causes, you don't have to keep going down. You can immediately go back now and do frequency optimization. Why do that before? Because you want to do the frequency optimization for the condition that it's found or the conditions. Unlike the old system, we'd give you a whole list of things, but only a very few of those things were really pertinent. So now we only give you the top 3 to 5 that were really, contributing to the issue. All right, let's now, okay, yeah. See, there's nothing in the box, but if he goes up and clicks on pathomorphology, it'll show you what was there. Okay, same with organ. Click on organ, it remembers all of this. So if you went through this, all of those things are still in the database. So when you go to frequency optimization, it does a frequency optimization for all of those issues, not just the last one. Question?
Yeah, where in this, and forgive me because I know what most of them mean, but not all of them, is, say, chromosomal. What area would that be?
I'm going to show you. We'll go right back to that. And it says you want to know where chromosomes are. We'll show you in a second. Okay, when this is done, let's just go right over to frequency optimization. Yes, next question.
So, say for instance, when we would do 9D, and of course some of the numbers would change, and then we'd have another appointment and do more beta therapy. Can you do that? Just go back with that
Okay.
full scan and
Yeah, the question is on the old system, you could do a metatherapy and then next session that the person comes in, you could pick right up and go from there. You can do the same with this. You don't have to rescan, you go right in, pick the item and do a frequency optimization right from there.
you don't have to do a rescan.
You don't have to do a rescan. Okay, take a look at this. I'm glad this came up. It says a value of 8, it's in the future, 3 years. So if you do not get your spiritual side in order, there's going to be issues that will become physical issues. They'll manifest physically in this case. So you see it's in blue and it says future and 3 year. If it was a cause, it would be in the red and it would say cause. All right. Now there's many more layers of this coming where we can drill down to even more minute things, to Jared was saying, down to the balance and the ratio between minerals in the body. So we're going to get down to the point to where it's really helpful. Now we come back. Now you have to, right now on this version, go back and click the heart. Go back and click heart. Go back up. Oh yes, many. There, we've got 7 to 10 of them right now. Keep going up. It's in alphabetical order. Okay. In the next version, it will automatically remember where you were. Okay. On this one, you have to find it. Frequency optimization, and it needs 88 or 90 seconds. You see, it figured that out. Now see, when we did the other one on the vitals, it needed 3 minutes or 5 minutes. This one only needed 90 seconds. So you can never overdo it with somebody, which is really, really important. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times we tried to drill this into people over the last few years. Do not do this more than 3 to 5 times. And we had several people that did it for hours and ended up sick in bed for a couple days.
Well, that's how I found you. Somebody said, try this out and tell me what you think of it. And I'm like, okay. So I just kept doing it. The next day I was so sick. I went, there's something to this.
Yeah. See, we had someone just say that they went back and they went home and did it, and they were sick for a day. So it really is affecting you, you know. If you go to a rock concert and stand right next to the speaker, I guarantee you're going to have a headache the next day. You see, those frequencies are going to go through and cause issues. Okay, so 30 more seconds, this will end, and we'll see how it will it'll move all the old numbers to the left, and put the new numbers in the boxes. Again, to where you can see before and after.
So Lauren, each time it does a scan, it's gonna pick the amount of time that it needs to do it.
Okay, the question was each time the computer will select the appropriate time for metatherapy, and the answer is yes. Now,
Does it record that?
everything that we do here is recorded into the client's file. Okay, so if you'll notice, the ones that changed, you'll see it in the box next to it. Some changed, some didn't. Okay, but what we treated, or what we did the frequencies optimization on was not only each one of those issues, but the possible contributing causes that are contributing to that. Okay, for fun now, let's say you want to print this out, hit create PDF. Oh, okay, there it is. You couldn't do that on the old system. Oh, you could, but it was painful to make a report. Here, you just click it, and if you don't want to print it, it immediately saves this down to your file, and you can email it or print it later. For fun, go down to the folder on the bottom, go to PC, this PC, local drive, AO scan, client data files. Now, I know that sounds confusing, but it's really pretty simple.
Yeah.
When you open that up, the new client, there's all the, if you hit comprehensive PDFs, there will be one in there, because we just did it. Click on that, it'll bring up that same picture. So everything is stored and saved and easy to find, okay?
That's not in the user, it's right off the root.
You what?
It's right off the root file, but it's not in anybody's user.
No, it's right off the root file.
Okay, just so I understand, so when you do the scan, you wait, I mean, you do the scan, you give them some kind of whatever to help them feel better, and you go back and do it again. Now, how often can you do that? Can you only do a scan, then a remedy, and then a scan, and then you have to wait another day or two, or can you do another one in that same day?
I recommend, okay, the question is how often and can you do this? I recommend every other day, no sooner. Now, before we told you every other day.
Every other day.
But no, you can, on this system you can do it every day because we choke how many times it will do the frequency optimization. But the other question is how long? And my recommendation is do not spend more than an hour. That's a long time. Can you imagine having your mom tell you to go clean your room over and over and over for an hour? You start to tune it out. An hour's plenty of time. Maybe on the rare occasion you might spend an hour and a half on a first session. But after that, you can go through on the next sessions and be done in 20 to 30 minutes. You know, you'll have some people say, well, I paid you X amount of dollars for an hour. I says, no, you didn't. You paid me for a session. And that session might be an hour, it might be 15 minutes. You make that real clear. We're not billing you for time, we're billing you for a session. Now that's my recommendation. You can do your own. But more than an hour is too much.
So in that hour time, you could do a scan and then a remedy. And then
In an hour's time, you can do a ton of work.
So you could do more than 3 or 4 of them then?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you wanted to go through all the systems of the body, or maybe work on each chromosome, and you can only get, then each day you would take a different set of them?
Well, I sure wouldn't do it all in one.
No, I know you wouldn't do
yeah.
it in one, but.
Yeah, you sure
would it be
could.
better
Do it
to
in
do
sessions.
one till it's right for a few days, or alternate?
You know, the question is how often would you do this and how, if you did the whole body? You know your client and you know their conditions. I would work with what they're capable of doing, you know, physically, mentally, and emotionally and financially. I would not try to cram everything into 1 or 2 sessions.
On the subject of chromosomes, do you find, I have this really bad horrible thing in our family, it's chromosome.
Okay?
Do you find that, are there certain things, like say in those steps, that are more difficult, takes more treatments, more enhancements, I'd like to call enhancements, in chromosomes over, say, working with a joint?
Okay, the question, let me summarize it real quick, was are we going to find more of the issues in the chromosomes rather than the muscles or joints?
Treatment lengths more, because it's chromosomes. It's like, it seems so complicated. And
Well, that's a question I don't know if I can answer. Jared, do you have an answer for that? And I'll repeat it for you. Or here, you want to?
So what we found, I'll stand up here. What we found mostly when you're looking at the chromosome level is you have to look at the DNA and the RNA structure, okay? Typically what happens is probably a term that you're familiar with, the miasm term, that typically affects the RNA. So you're right, it is difficult to work with those, but what's interesting is when you're looking at the RNA and down to the chromosome level, is that is usually where core issues begin. So if someone is predisposed to cancer, or like at a previous medical clinic, there wasn't hardly anybody that came in that didn't have cancer, that didn't have miasm as well. Is that?
Well, because
how-
like I have ovuloconchocerebellar atrophy, and it hits 50% of every member at every generation. And so that's why, actually this is one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing, is to look at that. It's bad.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm curious and asking questions about that type of.
Yeah, so one of the key issues when you're looking at those things, you go back to mineral balance, okay? Because when those things get out of whack, because of the weakness in your genetic string, you're predisposed to have some type of issue. You're gonna see those things start with the mineral balance in the body, but more importantly, you're looking at the miasm that we need to work to purge. Now, what's really cool is, like Lorna mentioned, is I work with a lot of stem cell doctors, and this is the only equipment that they have that can look at the health of the adipose tissue and the stem cell. Now, there are therapies specifically designed using stem cell to combat these types of issues. But one of the interesting things that we go back to is we can give you stem cell, but if you don't fix the nail that's in the tire, you're going to get that again. So you want to try to catch it before it becomes an issue, and I think you're definitely on the right track. This is the first phase. We're going to enhance the chromosome, DNA, RNA structure quite a bit, the stem cell, as we can validate that, as Lauren mentioned. But this is a huge marker, a big step in the right direction to getting down to those core issues. And you're going to see a lot more detail on the miasm issues coming out too, because there's a lot more. Some tests I've seen, some systems only test like 4, but there's actually quite a few more than that are passed down genetically. So, and you mentioned that before about the tests, about correcting the test, doing the correction. That's perfect. That's exactly what I would recommend beforehand, because when you see those changes happen, relatively dramatic, oftentimes that's genetic junk. That there is that frequency, it's picking up the frequency, but it's easily corrected. You're trying to find the main issues to alleviate the symptomatic issues that the client's facing.
Okay, we promised to only keep you 30 to 40 minutes, and I think we're real close to that, if not over. So what we wanted to do tonight was just show you where the system is now. Those of you who are taking them with you are going to be able to give us a bunch more feedback over the next few days to week, and we look forward to that information from you. We really look forward to that information.
So on your main page, I saw inner voice and all those.
Okay, let's go back to that real quick. I'll take you back and show you. Okay, any more questions on the comprehensive? Did you just see you've got the ability to database? That's going to get better on the next version, and again and again. Okay, if you notice, all of your icons now are inside this program. Inner Voice is a program we will devote several sessions to. It is that important. You need to learn Inner Voice. It is a miraculous therapy. And so we're not going to go into it tonight, but it's there.
Does it work the same way as the instructions in your other book?
It does. Okay, we'll go through that. Okay, Cephi. The only one that's up right now and it's not completely functioning is the ability to make homeopathic drugs. That will be in the next version. Okay, but all of these others will be available in the very next version. We're building this like you build a house. You start with your foundation, you build up. The foundation is in, so now we can start adding databases. We can add the programs, we can add the enhancements. but we had to get this part done first. And I know it's frustrating to wait and wait and wait, but you guys are in on the ground floor of this thing, and you're the ones helping us truly pioneer this to the next level. So they're all here.
Anybody that wants to be using this piece of equipment immediately to run the CEPI, we can go on TeamViewer, and we can load some of those CEPI programs that if you're using them in the meantime, and then they can just delete them when they become active in this platform.
Let me repeat that real quick. What Alan was saying is if any of you right now are using the CEPI programs, we can put those on separate from this interface, and you can use those until we get them integrated in, and then once it's integrated in, we'll pull them out. So you've got them, Wayne.
On originally, when you were first setting up the remotes, you were limited. One was limited as to what kinds of things they could do remotely. Has that changed?
Yes, it has. Can you go grab the remote base on my desk, Juanita? The question was, have we changed much with the remotes? The remote systems have been vastly upgraded, higher resolution, back to the bone conduction resolution through the brain. One thing that's really fun to do with your clients is when they put the headset on and you start doing the scan or the therapy, have them plug their ears just for a second, because then they'll actually feel and sense what's happening inside the head. It has nothing to do with what we're hearing. And once they do that, you'll watch their eyes go as big as $50 because they just, wow, I can feel that in my head. Have you noticed that, Brian, with your clients? That is such an exciting thing, because then all of a sudden they feel what's going on in the head. And so we've done that now with the remotes. The remote unit, the new remote units, and those are the only ones that are available going forward now are these units. They're slightly more expensive, mainly because the technology now is the same. Now I'm going to answer your question here in a second. This is the new remote cradle. It plugs in the same, plugs into your computer with a USB and with an audio. Your headset that comes with it plugs into the front. But it is also the same kind of transducer that goes on the jawbone like so. And so if they do this, they'll feel that happening in the head. And it just helps solidify what we've told them is happening, because they can now sense it. Now, one thing that's of interest, when you're doing a therapy, and let's say that you forgot to charge your headset and you've got a whole group of clients waiting, any headset will work. So you can plug in a normal headset. The resolution is about 50%, but it's still accurate enough to do your scan. So you don't have to panic. I would recommend that as you can, and when you can afford to, buy an extra headset and just have it always on the charger. That way you don't have it. But you're never out of work. If this fell on the floor and somebody stepped on it and broke it, you can use another headset until you can get it replaced. You can do earbuds. I don't recommend earbuds, but in a pinch, an earbud would work. An over-the-ear is going to be better. And if it was an over-the-ear, I would not put it over the ear. I'd put it on their temples. Okay? It has nothing to do with your ears. You can be stone deaf. The system still works. My wife thinks I'm stone deaf most of the time.
Well, that's why they had to put shutter sound on phones. Because people
There you go. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye to our online audience. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please feel free to contact us. You can chat with us. You can send us an email. Go ahead and subscribe to the page, like the page, and then click the little bell on the page. That way, every time we come out with a new video that may not be a live broadcast, you'll get a little notification saying there's a new video or there's a new live broadcast, so that you'll know. Okay, so subscribe, like, and click the bell. Thanks again, and have a good night.